Good morning, lovely Niners. Right, buddies, here we go, keeping on rocking through this unit of bearings. It's actually our last lesson of bearings, which makes me a little bit sad because it is kind of a cool topic and it is really cool for navigation, but I suppose we'll leave the bearings to be taught to you in geography and in DAV and stuff as well. We only just get a little taste of them in maths, unfortunately. But yeah, title for today is Calculations with Bearings. And the goal of it really is we won't have to use our protractors anymore, so you don't have to actually measure them. We can actually just do some calculations with. Now, to start with, I put down, do you remember these? So we're going to be needing to do that stuff that's all the way back to year 8 with the alternate and corresponding angles. So if you look at this red one, can you see that I've got a red here and a red here? Well, did you guys learn this last year about a Z angle? Remember Z angles? Zangles? Well, my buddies, these guys are alternate angles. And essentially, if ever you get like two parallel lines, which is what this is, and what this is, and then another line crossing through them, if you can draw a Z, then these two angles are equal, okay? So that's alternate angles, and they look like a Z. Now, I won't go too much into that, because I know that you're probably pretty good at it from last year, from year 8. So here we go. You got your Z angles. What's the other letter? Do you remember what the other letter is? Well, if you said it's the F angles, you are dead right, my buddies. It is certainly the F angles, the fangles, which look like that. Again, with parallel lines, you can say anything that's kind of like under the arms of the F, or under the, like, F-y part of the F. I don't even know how to describe it. Like the top and the middle slash in the F there. Yeah, those guys there, my lovelies, these ones are corresponding angles. Corresponding angles, and they follow an F pattern. Now, why am I banging on about that? Well, my lovelies, it's going to be key to when we start doing these calculations with them, as you'll see just now. So let's have a little bit of a look. Look for those patterns, and here we go. This is starting off kind of at easy level, and let's see what's going down. So on our first picture, you can just maybe watch me do this one. If you want, you could try to get ahead, but I'm going to try to explain it once first. Okay. It says, first of all, find the bearing of B from A. So in other words, we are starting at B, so we are from of B from A, no, from A, so we're stood here. Now to start with then, what's the bearing of B from A? Well, my lovelies, remember how north was 0 at the very top, and that you can always draw this like compass thing, the little compass star thing on any point? Well, that means, as measured from north, which is 0, how many degrees is it to B? Well, actually, buddies, it's actually the one that's given in the question. It is just 120 degrees. Can you see that? Because north was 0, don't forget. This, east, would have been 90. South would have been 180. And west would have been 270. So the 120 actually is the one that we're on about to get to B. And so it's 120 degrees. Now for double I's where it gets good. Now, here's where it's cool, buddies. First things first is this question isn't really doable until you get the compass points drawn. So I'm going to redraw the compass point here. So here we go. Beautiful one right there at B. I'm even going to switch colors. I'm going to go red here. And here's the thing. If we want to know the bearing, and this time it is of A from B. So all it's done is just like last lesson, is we've switched where we're stood. So now we're stood at B. So we're actually there. Now, the bearing from A then is all the way around to that angle. So what on earth could we do, my buddies? What on earth could we do? Very tricky to know. Or, it would be very tricky to know if I hadn't have introduced this up here. Can anybody see either an alternate or a corresponding angle that would match up with this 120? Can anyone see it? Well, I can see an alternate one, actually. If you consider this, so this is a parallel line, this is like a Z, and then you can keep going down here on this parallel line of the compass point I just drew. Well, that then, buddies, means that this 120 degrees is actually on the alternate side here, also 120 degrees. Cool? Tricky to spot maybe, but not too bad. And in that case then, we now know enough to get our bearing, because our bearing is from north, don't forget, and it's going to be all the way around, through everything, all the way to there. Well, if halfway around from here to here, like from this part to this part, is 180, then to get all the way around, it's just going to be 180 plus 120. Can you guys see that? So I'll show you, I'll make my mouse bigger so you can see it. 180, because that's from here to south, that's 180, and then the 120 more, which you just determined was 120 because of alternate angles. So altogether then, our bearing is going to be 180 plus 120, so 180 plus 20 is 200, so 300 degrees like a boss. Cool. So, little tricky, but not too bad. So here's what I'm going to get you to do. I'd like you now to push pause and see if you can do 5. It's okay if you still feel a bit shaky at this, because I don't know why, but students always find this quite tricky. So if you're feeling a bit shaky, it's okay. But if you want to go and have a go on your own, pause the video, go. Okay, and my shaky ones, let's do it. So step 1 is you're going to draw in the compass point, my lovelies. So just like that, get your compass points in. I'm going to put it on B as well, because I'm going to need it there probably too. So there's our little compass points, and here we go. If that's 329 degrees in the first part of the question, for part I, it's how many degrees do we need to go to get from B. So we're starting at A to get to B. The angle we want is actually that, yeah? Because that is the number of degrees to get to that line, because that's the line that connects B to A. Well, in that case, this one's not too bad, actually. If it's 329 all the way around the outside, we can just use the calculator or our minds to work out that this then would have to be 31 degrees. And that's the answer to the first question. So as measured from north, that's 31 degrees to get to that line. Now here's where it gets harder. From B, buddies, if we're going to get the bearing of A from B, it's actually going to be this angle all the way around to there. So can anybody spot another trick to this? Has anybody got a plan? Well, if you said, there's another angle, a Z angle, you're dead right. If you check it out, 31, these are parallel lines, we can use Z angles. If that's 31, this is 31, because they're both in the arms of the Z. Which means, if this part here was 180 to go all the way from north to south, and that's 31, well, altogether, my lovelies, it's just going to be plus 180 equals 211, and that's the answer to B. So I hope that that feels okay. So the answer to B is just 211 degrees. Okay, they are fiddly, but they're not too bad, and I hope that you feel kind of pretty boss-ish at it now. That would be brilliant. Okay, next one, buddies. A little bit harder now. What we've got then is this time it says the bearing of C from S is 252. Of C from S. So we're stood at S, okay? That's what it's telling us. Now, I'm going to put a compass point. They have done half compass points here, but I'm going to finish them. So here we go. Compass point, compass point, compass points, compass points. And same deal here, compass point. Put an arrow on that one to show us north. I'm going to put an N there as well. And here we go, compass point and compass point. Okay, now here's what it's told us, buddies. It says that the bearing of C from S is 252 degrees, which means that starting from S to get to C, which is all the way around to there, is 252 degrees. Cool? Now our question that it's asking us to figure out is what is the bearing of S from C? So instead, what if we were stood at C? So if we're at C instead, almost pun intended because this is like a naval thing. Anyway, yeah, if we're at C instead, here we go. The angle that it's after, my buddies, is this one. It wants to know from north down to that line. Cool. Looks a bit tricky, but isn't too bad. if I give you a bit of a tip and say that we're going to be involving this line and this line, what on earth could we do with these two parallel lines? Oh, my buddies, look. There's a zangle on the go again, isn't there? So if this is 252 to get all the way to there, but it's 180 to get from north to south, if this part here, like dush, 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 if that dashy blue bit is 180, well, then this bit here that's underneath is just going to be 180, or 252 take away 180, which is going to be 72 degrees. So that means that this is 72 degrees. Now, what on earth do we do with that then? Well, that's it. It's a zangle, right? That means this is 72 degrees because of alternate angles. And so there we go. And actually, that's the final answer because that is the degrees that we want from the north at the top to the line. So what's the bearing? 72 degrees. Now, weirdly enough, okay, but so I'm going to write down actually. Usually, because it's actually used for practical things, they like to use 3 digits to make it always the same. So normally you'd write this. You'd write 072 degrees. You put a 0 in, just because they like them to be 3 digits for whatever reason. Bit weird, but that's okay. Cool? Okay, same again. Go. Pause the video. Pause the video. I'd like you to try. Cool, and you're back. So let's just see how you got on. So I'm going to try to do this one a little bit more quickly to make my video not super long. Step 1 is I'm going to do the same as I always do. I'm going to get these on because they help me to understand the question. So whilst they're not necessarily a strict requirement to draw the compass points on, they help me to understand. So why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I draw them on if they help me to understand? Okay, so here's what it says. It says the bearing of L from S, so we're stood at S, and to get to L, it says that this here is 106 degrees. And the question is, what is the bearing? What is the bearing of S from L? So we want to know this purple angle here, great big long reflex purple angle. Okay. Now in my head, what I do straight away is I look for zangles and fangles. And I can see a lovely zangle on the go here. So here it is. I see one, and I see this one. Okay. Now, what I'd say is it's difficult to know. Actually, it's not difficult to know. So if that's 106, this is... Oh my gosh, that's not even how I was going to do it. We've just found a shortcut. I was going to get this angle here first, and then put it there, and then take it away from 360. But I've got a better idea now. If this is 106, then this is 106. Oops, I wrote 160. 106. Okay? From there to there is also 106 because of the z angle. So here we go. The number that we want then is just going to be, well, our full purple one then, is it's going to be the red plus the green. Well, if the green's 180, altogether then, the angle is going to be this. To get to north to south was 180 degrees. Plus, though, a further 106 degrees, which means the answer is going to be 286. And that should be the final answer. It's already 3 digits, and happy days. So I would say that'd be an example of a hard one. So I hope that you're okay still. Right. Here we go. Nightmare hard now. These are the worst, okay? These are the very hardest ones. They're like GCSE exam-y. And here we go. The diagram shows positions of York, Scarborough, and Hull. So there we go. The bearing of Scarborough from York is 52 degrees. So Scarborough's up there. I'm going to do, just as I said last time, I kind of get, I'm going to change colors as well. I get muddled without the north, south, east, west, so I'm going to pop it in. So there's north, and there's my compass point, like that. And then I'm going to do the same deal here. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. North is there. And I'm going to finish this one. Boosh. There we go. Okay. Now, it says the bearing of Scarborough from York is 52 degrees. And that's that 52 there. And then I think that the question that it's asking us to do is, it says the bearing of Oh, I haven't finished reading it actually. Okay, that's already used, okay? And then the bearing of Hull from York is 118 degrees. Okay, so that's not on the picture, is it? They've not labeled that. Okay, so let's do this. I'll highlight it in blue. Okay, the bearing of Hull from York is 118. That's why they're tricky. There's a bit of reading to it, isn't there? There's a bit of thinking and a bit of reading, which is good. But it's okay. The bearing of Hull from York. So we're at York, so we're here, and Hull is going to be all the way down on this line here. So it's telling us that that altogether is 118 degrees. Okay, so that's 118 degrees. That says the distance between York and Scarborough, so those ones, York, I can't say that right, I'm sure that I'm saying this wrong with my accent. Scarborough, between York and Scarborough is there, and then between York and Hull are equal. It says the same distance. And our final question is this. It says work out the bearing of Hull from Scarborough. So we want to know the bearing of Hull from Scarborough. So the question's asking us to work out from Scarborough down to Hull. Okay, I think I've got a bit of a strategy here. I think. I'm not sure if you have yet. Because what's the strategy gonna be? I'm not quite sure yet, my buddies. Oh, okay. Oh, I see something. Right. In the triangle itself, my buddies, it is an an isosceles triangle, which means that there's 118 at the top, and these two angles have to be the same because it's isosceles. The top and bottom angle have to be the same. Here's what we can do to start with. We can go 180, or no, we can't. We can go 118, 118, take away 52, and that gives that this is 66 degrees. So straight away, this top angle there is 66 degrees, okay? Cool beans, so I'm going to erase the 118 off because it's muddling my picture. But this, oops, I erased too much off. But this is definitely 66 degrees, okay? Now, if that's 66, now we can use our regular old triangle tricks, and here's our triangle tricks. 180 takes 66, leaves 114 degrees for both angles, divided by 2, makes that each of these is 57. So that's 57, and this up here is also 57 for the whole distance. Okay, so that's still not super helpful yet, so we need to find out some more. Now here's what I'm going to, oh, I think I spot it now. I can see his angle with the 52, can you? Yeah, well, it should be here, down, up, and then down that extra line that I drew is his angle. So if you check it out in green, this green here is going to equal this green here because it's in a Z angle. So that's 52 degrees. Cool? Which means, buddies, that this here, because it's 57 altogether, is only 5 degrees. Get me? Because 52 to get there, 5 more to get to 57. I hope I'm not going too quick, but I might be. I'm not sure. Which means, buddies, we can go in for the kill now. The purple angle, then, is not quite to 180, because that'd be this black line, but actually it's going to be 180, because that'd be from north to south. Take away 5. So the final answer is 175 degrees. Now, I would say that is a really hard question, as hard as they get. Okay, so that'd be a really nasty GCSE question. There you are in year 11. Boom. GCSE question comes along and it's this topic. Well, I think that's kind of what you could expect at GCSE. So that's as hard as they go. So I hope your head's around it. I'm going to do a little just check to see. This one's not as bad, but it's still awful. And I wonder if you could pause the video and try it on your own. So pause the video, go. Okay, and you're back, my buddy. So let's see how he got on. So again, I get confused. So I'm drawing this on. So split that, split this. This one's kind of already done for me because all the bits and bobs are there. This one needs one as well. Split there, split there. Beautiful. Okay, now I've got my north, south, east, west on everything, right? Okay. The question here says the bearing of B from A is 74. And that's our, they did put the 0 in. Note the 0. See, they did put it in. They wanted it to be 3 digits. So 074 is right. And they've got that labeled in for us. The bearing of C from B, so stood at B to get to C is 180. So in other words, B and C are on the straight line. And the question that it's asking us to do is it's asking us to work out the bearing of C from A. So when we are stood at A, it wants to know this, all the way down to C. Got me, buddies, that was asking? Okay, which means I've already got a bit of a strategy. If I can get this top angle in the triangle, we will have it, won't we? Cool. So, let's go. Let's see what we can find. Can you see any angles or fangles or anything? I see a angle. I see one here. Because these two with the norths on them are parallel. So, if that's 74, this is 74. Oh, that's actually cracked it, buddies. No worries. Now, it's an isosceles triangle, so that's also 74 degrees because they're both at the bottom of the isosceles triangle, which means the top of the isosceles triangle is going to be 74 times 2. So we've used 148, so 180, take that, makes 32 degrees. So the entire top is 32 degrees, okay? The entire top of it is 32 degrees. Now, I'm just going to bin off my black line. Okay, 32 degrees. That's 32 degrees then, which means the purple angle altogether, well, it's just going to be the sum of the two. So we've actually crushed that one, buddies. That wasn't nearly as bad. It's this, right? It's this angle, the one that we're after. So it's just going to be 74 plus 32, which is going to be 106 degrees, and that is your answer. Now, I know bearings are a bit to get your head around, but the thing is, you just got to practice, practice, practice makes perfect. I'm going to attach for you this sheet right here, and I just want you to work through and do as many as you can, okay? Some are easy, some are hard like this, okay? So many of them are like the starting ones that won't take you any time at all, but do try your best to get onto some hard ones too, because it would just be good for you to try some hard ones too. When you're all done, upload it for me, my buddies, as much as you can get done. So you should be doing a good wad. Make sure you've done at least kind of an hour, maybe an hour and 5 or 10 minutes worth, because as I'm not setting homework, this kind of counts as your homework too. And that's it. So really good work, Super 9s. We are flying through this, and that's it from me. So see you next time. Bye, buddies!